Well, hello everyone, it's Adam here. This thing's already starting to get dirty. Ignore the fact that the nav 6 is in some kind of a weird test mode. I haven't figured out how to get rid of it. I'll reset it when I go back to the house. So, I've had a bit of time with the GS Adventure, and I wanted to go over a little bit around, well, let's get riding, and I'll tell you guys a little bit about what's on my mind here today. And it has to do with Farkles and modifications. That looks fun. It's on the beta or something. A little hill drop there, a little descent. So I'm in a unique situation, which is I've been lucky to have two GSAs back to back. One which was modified like crazy, as you're all aware, and then one now which is completely stock, and I've been riding it in all my normal local haunts. You know, no crazy off-roading, but just like normal roads like this. And you know, thinking more about how this feels versus my old machine, I was thinking about like what modifications would I do first. Again, I'm not going to do any modifications right now because the bike is going to be stored for the winter, and then I'll modify it all winter. But like a stock GSA, what does it actually need? What is it missing? So I thought I'd put that in order. And the first thing, actually, believe it or not, 2014 and newer R1200 GSs, they come with a steering damper from the factory, which is nice. But that is not a progressive steering damper. It doesn't get stiffer or harder the more you turn. It's not adjustable, and I've never ridden a 2013 liquid-cooled GS, but my 09 didn't have a steering damper. I never really thought about it, but now that I've had a progressive made by HyperPro on my 2017, the first thing I noticed about this bike is just how flighty the front wheel is versus my old GS. And I haven't even put any luggage on the back of this thing yet. So I'm actually thinking, I don't know how you guys actually deal with riding these GSs full of luggage or with a second person on your bike without a progressive steering damper. Not even a hydraulic one. Not even one like with a triple tree mount, but like one that just goes underneath the front wheel at the stock location. So that, to me, I thought was kind of interesting. You know, the steering damper is something that I can't wait to put on this bike. I'll put on this bike actually before I store it for the winter, because I don't want to run this thing without a steering damper, just personally. So that's the first thing really that to me kind of stood out. I'll sit on this guy for a little bit. I'm not in a rush. The second thing is actually the seat. So a lot of guys are okay with the stock seat. I'm not. So the second thing you really should do is any aftermarket seat will be better than the stock one. And I truly mean any aftermarket seat. Now, after 500 miles in the saddle, that might be a little bit different. But the first 100 miles, any seat's going to be better than the stock seat. No matter if you're on the rally seat, the standard, which is what I have on this bike, or the exclusive seat that comes on the triple black. So seat's definitely something that needs to be changed immediately. Keep the passenger intact if you don't have someone riding on the bike all the time, but definitely replace your seat. Mostly for the ergonomics, because the stock seat puts your crotch into the tank when you come to a stop. So you have to kind of put it high on the front and low on the rear in order to have any sort of stability on the bike. That's not right. That shouldn't be that way. So I think the stock seat really needs some tender love and care. The next thing that I really miss is the grip puppies. My foam grip puppies. Those were, sorry, I probably clipped there. Those were a huge help, because I also have big hands. So, you know, these bars feel very thin, and the grip puppies also ate up some of the vibrations that I experienced. So that's something that I think is a really nice thing. They're cheap. They're like $12. Just grab them. You got to unscrew this thing. You got to get them wet, and then you just slide them onto here, and they last. Mine were for a full year of riding. They looked good. So no, it's the last couple years. The next thing is for tall riders, I really need bar back risers, because right now I'm sitting straight up, and the GS is designed to be leaned forward a little bit. But if you want to sit up and your back's hurting, you really can't do that without pulling on the handlebar here. So bringing this back half an inch or so would be nice. Bringing it up half an inch is also nice. So, I think the riser thing for a tall guy is really, really nice. I thought that I would have hated going back to the stock foot pegs. I don't. The stock GSA foot pegs are just fine. So that's something that people might ask me about. They're totally fine. Another thing that I'm going to order here. So now we're kind of going on to the functionality of the bike. For $120, you can get upgraded turn signals on the front and the rear. They make a huge difference on people seeing that you're about to turn, basically. So really, they're very cheap, and it's safe to let people know behind you that you're about to turn. So if you can swing it, then definitely grab the upgraded turn signals. And then from there, we're just going to protection. So, are you going to ride close behind people off-road? Don't do it. Then you might want to get headlight guard and radiator guard. But if you're not riding close to people off-road, you may never even use those things. Upgraded crash bars, do you plan on dumping the bike a lot, even at low speeds? If not, then the stock crash bars with some reinforcements are totally fine. Should you protect your tank with a clear bra or a ceramic coating? If you're going to keep the bike for 20 years, then don't worry about it. If you're going to try to sell it in 3 years and you don't want to buy a brand new top fairing to replace all the scratches, then sure, wrap it with Expel. No big deal. How about the stock windscreen? Stock windscreen, the GSA is just fine. You've got this kind of rattling motion, but it's not a bad windscreen. So that's a totally personal decision. I like my larger windscreen, but I also equally as much like my short Machine Moto slipscreen. So I think the stock GSA windscreen does a fantastic job of allowing enough wind to hit you on and off road to not tire you out or make you too cold. What else? I think the hand guards are fine. Again, if you don't plan on dropping the bike, then stick with the stock hand guards. I think the stock mirrors are fine. Do you need to fold them in off road? If not, stick with the stock mirrors. Do you need to change the skid plate? Same thing. Are you going to be going over logs? If not, and you don't need header protection either, then don't worry about it. I think that the GSA comes so well equipped from a protection standpoint that you really don't need to do much to it, so long as you're not really, I'm talking really hardcore riding over rocks and logs and shit like that and dropping the bike a lot. So don't worry about that. Totally fine. What about the headlights and stuff? BMW guys are spoiled. Well, GS guys are spoiled. We have 2 LED auxiliary lights for conspicuity and for showing, standing out in traffic. You can get some really cheap, clear, yellow 3M vinyl, Expel wrap vinyl kind of stuff that's orange or amber, and put that over your auxiliary lights. They're not adding any light to your drive anyway. They're just there to help people see you better. Cover them with orange, and you've basically got a lot more safety for people that are going to turn in front of you in traffic. And we're super lucky because we have an LED headlight. We don't need, I wonder if this road's open yet. I've been trying to get on here for a while. We don't need any more light around town. You're on the highway. If you're on the highway or you're around town with their street lights and stuff, you've got an LED headlight. You know how many guys on sport bikes, even the S1000RR guys, are still running high beams around town because no one can see them because they only have a little tiny faint light that's throwing up. We have full LED headlights. The notion that you absolutely need auxiliary headlights that are 20,000 lumens, that's a reach. You really don't need them. They're nice to have. So if you could swing it, sure, go ahead. And then as far as the rest of stuff, the different shifter, the different brake lever, different clutch and brake levers up top, all that stuff, get it if you want to, but not necessary. Now, if you're a heavy guy like me, I weigh 250 before I put on 40 pounds of Climb Gore-Tex gear, and before I put on 100 pounds of Jesse boxes and luggage, and my girlfriend who weighs more than 1 pound. The stock springs are easily gonna be pushed to the limit. So if you can afford it, the biggest thing you can do to this bike, and this kind of goes along with the steering damper, the biggest thing you can do to this bike is change your spring rate to support the weight, the real weight of what you're going to be using on this bike. And if you can do the progressive steering damper, and you can upgrade your springs, at least on the rear, and then give yourself some risers and a more comfortable seat, that's all you got to do. So this has been Adam here. Let's put it on cruise control. It's nice to have you guys. Thanks for watching. And this is kind of an unbiased opinion from someone who has literally installed every modification / Farkle made on my 2017 GSA, and now with a few days on the stock 2018 GSA, I'm finally noticing the things that that actually are important to change. So suspension, damping, comfort, ergonomics, everything else is just extra. The GSA has become so well equipped, you really don't have to do that much to get it into a position of being able to do a BDR or ride across country and break records. So thanks for watching, everyone, and this is Adam signing out.